In April of 2022, my kids showed up with marks on their face again. Their mother had been abusing them and still abuses them. I filed numerous reports with the RCMP and Fort McMurray CFS, but unfortunately, they don't want to look at any of the evidence because these organizations talk to each other and, oh, we know what's going on, don't worry about it. But this lack of service has caused future harm to my kids. So when my kids showed up in April of 2022 with marks on their face again, CFS helped me get an EPO, an emergency protection order, against her. They were the ones who guided me through that process because they heard what was up and what evidence I had and all of that, and they deemed it to be necessary. So when I went in and got this EPO, we had never felt safer. I had full custody of the kids. They were safe. But then in 2 weeks, we have to go back for a Court of the Queen's Bench thing. Thankfully, we finally had peace, quiet, a little bit of room to breathe because the mother has been negligent in her care of the kids, physically abusive, emotionally abusive, and she's supposed to be a teacher. But unfortunately, she gave alcohol to my daughter to take to school by herself and gave it to another teacher, let her walk through the school with it and leave it on a shelf. But apparently none of that matters. What does matter is she breached the EPO immediately. And when she did, through Facebook Messenger, but she wouldn't use her account. She used her school account from the Timberley Public School. Very classy, because she thought that for some reason it wouldn't be tracked, or I don't know what she thought. But either way, she breached that EPO. That night, I called the RCMP and said, hey, she's sending me messages. She breached the EPO. I'm reporting it. They said, okay, if you can send us screenshots of the Facebook messages are acceptable forms of evidence. And yeah, she'll be arrested if when you send them off. We'll go have her arrested tonight. I couldn't send them through my phone, so I called them back and I said, hey, can you come pick them up? I'll print them off and you can pick them up in the morning. Oh, absolutely, no problem. And then we'll take care of it and we'll make sure that she's not a problem to you guys anymore. So this was Tyson Douglas. Tyson Douglas of the Fort McMurray RCMP detachment. So when he came to pick them up the next day, all of a sudden, he just didn't think it was a big deal anymore. No, we're not going to do any arrests. And this is the problem with the Fort McMurray RCMP. Every time I try to receive service, they go upstairs and somebody up there tells them, don't give this guy service. I've made 4 complaints against the Fort McMurray RCMP and I've won them all. But they still deny me service and they still don't believe my kids are being abused. And they've allowed future harm and they are partially responsible for the continued abuse of my kids by their mother, as is some of the CFS agents. But now Tyson Douglas of the Fort McMurray RCMP department, when he showed up and said, oh, we're not going to do that, we're not going to arrest her. And I said, what the hell? She breached an EPO, she's abusing my kids, she's going to do it again. I have to go back to the Court of Queen's Bench and show that, but now without your support, they're not going to believe that she breached it, or that evidence is not going to matter, right? And so this officer said, well, we'll have to get into IP addresses and all that stuff. That's called investigating, you prick, right? Use your head. But, you know, I couldn't do anything about it. He wasn't going to press those charges, right? So what happens? They refused to deny me service and protecting my kids. And a couple of weeks later at the Court of Queen's Bench, the EPO is overturned. And now mom's allowed to do it again and have the kids back again, despite loads of evidence, audio, video, evidence, writing from her that shows that she admits to it fully, only to me, but not anymore, because now she wants to keep it hidden. Now, Tyson Douglas, when I had these messages, I couldn't understand. I was shocked. Again, I'm being denied service by the Fort McMurray RCMP. So what I did was I filed a complaint. I went in and I spoke with one of the officers. I gave them my side of the story and waited a little bit, and I got that complaint back. And in that, they found that Tyson Douglas did not follow policy with me. Not only did he not interview, like there's domestic violence policies, and he did not go and interview her. He did not take statements from both of us. He didn't do any of these things, right? So here I am. I filed my complaint, and I won it. They said he didn't follow policy. But what was in that investigation was a bit of a problem. See, first of all, Tyson Douglas wouldn't cooperate. He wouldn't turn over his notes. He said everything was in his investigation. Take it from that. So not only would he not do an interview with the investigator, he wouldn't turn over his notes, but more importantly, he fucking lied. He lied to the investigator investigating his conduct into this case. He said that, well, I checked her Facebook page and there's no pictures of her, minimal pictures of her, like nothing I could identify her with. But that's a lie. There are numerous pictures of her on her page, as well as pictures of her classroom, pictures of myself, picture of me and my kids. So there were numerous photos of her on there. And that page is still up. And I tried to show them, but they wouldn't even look at it. They would turn their head and say, well, it's already done. So, you know, even Corporal Dolly, the guy investigating, said he checked and there was no pictures of her. Why are two officers of the Fort McMurray RCMP lying in an investigation, including the investigator? This is not what Canadians expect, is it?